One of our experiences in Castle Morpeth is that we've just done a housing needs survey, and what the problem that we had there is that because people can't see a shared ownership scheme and they don't know people who live in a shared ownership scheme, they don't know what it is. And so that if you ask them if they're interested in a shared ownership scheme, they say, I don't know what it is, so I can't. So it's difficult to demonstrate the need because you need the provision first. So what we need to do is stick our necks out and build some, because we know that they'll be let, but you have got to stick your neck out and you haven't got the evidence for it from the needs survey. So you've got to, right, so we're going to do this. We've got to be really sort of confident about your own view of the needs that there are, and that make sure that you get these innovations and solutions out there.
It's all very well talking about affordable housing being a problem, oh, it's a problem, but we've really got to look at how we tackle the problem. How can we make people more aware? How can we lobby organisations? How can we attract funding? How can we ensure that the housing is available for families and young people for the long term, not just the short term, but for the long term? How can we ensure that these communities survive and thrive? There is already, as we know, a growing elderly population across the country, and the high incidence of second homes simply compounds that problem by reducing the number of homes available to families. There are some very good examples of affordable housing in the county that have been championed by local community development trusts. There's a tremendous project in Holy Island, 7 new housing units that have been created by the development trust there. There are 4 new housing units in Wooler, championed by the Glendale Gateway Trust, a local community development trust. And what it's demonstrated is there's a real commitment there from organisations, and they need to be given the resources and the wherewithal to do the job. What has been demonstrated in Holy Island and Wooler is that that bottom-up approach really works. This was the community coming together saying, this is what we want, this is why we want it, this is how we're going to do it. And what it has resulted in is serious delivery of affordable housing. And I think that is something that can be replicated, given the resources that can be replicated. I think it does involve the community. It does make people think seriously about the issues and the broader issues. And I think it does bring people to the fore. I think it does bring out a creative side. I think it does demonstrate a willingness. I think it does demonstrate a serious, I suppose, taking the willingness to ensure that affordable housing is delivered. So I think the whole bottom-up approach is very important. I think it's quite clear that to do that you need to get people on board, you need to get people involved, and you need to find out just what they feel are the best solutions for their community.
Blue sky thinking, providing affordable housing that's going to do justice to the needs of the community. I think we've got a consistent, coherent approach going forward. We have, as I said before, the development of the Northumberland Housing Strategy, which is identifying the level of need, and it looks at affordability, it looks at incomes, it looks at what it's going to be like in 20 to 30 years' time, an ageing population. We are starting to develop a strategy which is just for Northumberland, which links in with the North East Housing Strategy, and we're starting to bid for resources there. But it has to be a mixed approach. It can't just rely upon money coming from government. There's a lot of self-help needed, and I think that linking back in with the planning policies and the community involvement, the community is starting to wake up to the needs and also starting to wake up to some of the solutions as well.
I think what's needed is houses that people can rent, affordable rents. Not so much, people aren't looking so much for houses to buy, but it's houses that they can rent. And there's got to be ways of the community coming together to do that. One way is, can we not just buy some houses? The community buys some houses and try to find a way through a mix of maybe grants and loans of making the rent cheaper than it would be under a private landlord. It might not be as cheap as, say, a council house, but it'd be cheaper than a private house. But the advantage is you're renting from the community, and you know it's sort of secure and safe. Rents aren't going to double overnight. And also that the houses are owned by the community now and forever into the future. one other way is maybe finding a little piece of land, maybe a sympathetic landowner, say a farmer, or maybe even the local authority might own some land somewhere in Seahouses or Beadnell. It doesn't have to be too big, just somewhere to put 3 or 4 houses on and build those houses. Again, it's owned by the community and it's not going to be sold off in 10 years' time for a profit. I think the key is making use of the development trust, the infrastructure that we've got set up, things like our charitable status, our staff, and making use of that in Seahouses where we're based, but also in Beadnell and Bamburgh by, again, getting people to work together, be it the parish councils or just people who have got a concern about affordable housing, because whilst they might think it's not the most important thing now, I think in the future it's going to be one of the key issues in this area, if it isn't already, for people who live and work here. Because only by people working together is anything going to happen. Yeah, I work for Development Trust, but I can't do it on my own, and nor can Development Trust. It's got to be like a joint effort.